Am Me. Climbing Star Benedetta joining in. Oscar's Fortune and Stretton Angel the widest out. Benedetta strikes the lead. Stretton Angel's after her. Benedetta! Jamie Carr gets another Group 1 in South Australia.
Welcome to Bet Doctor Behind the Curtain. Look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. I'm joined in studio with John Walter. He's up and about. Excited today for the weekend. You're tipping back at Scone. Weather's all right?
Racing is irrelevant now. We've got you in wars on Twitter, and it's not me. So no one cares about racing anymore. I'm up and about because you're up and about. How's your day? How's your morning?
Very quiet morning at the moment. What about down in Melbourne town, DK?
Scoot. I was up bright and early this morning, and then so were you, obviously. So it was just on from 5:30am till when we got in here. It's been travelling, so you're in the chair today, Scooty, by the looks. How are you, Nico?
I'm well. Busy week. Had a winner at Donald, so that got me up.
A lot of rock
last Saturday. So we're just living off that at the moment.
Lovely. Finally, bit of luck for your team.
How good Race Victoria? They pay you already been paid for the win.
Instant.
Only won on Saturday, and now the money's already come
money's
through.
In the bank.
So
beautiful.
There's a small win from early in the show. I don't know if they're going to cop a lot more praise after that, but I'll start off on a good note.
Yeah, the Britannicus prize money for our placing or whatever it was came through pretty quickly, so love that one. It's not always the case, though. It depends on who gets swabbed. Some of them are a little bit delayed, which is fair enough. We've had some lengthy delays, so it just depends who they're swabbing and if you win or wherever you place and whatever the circumstances around that. But is a great service, that's for sure. A little bit of pressure on up north at the moment. Walt, I was out of the office. I can't remember what I was doing, but I caught it later in the day. There was a winner at Hawkesbury called Bat Out of Hell. We're going to show two replays here. And the horse is in the white here jumping out of the gates and causes mass interference from barrier 2. Goes straight across the field. Concertina effect. Knocks out, I'd say, 5 horses on the outside before it looks like Rachel King sort of straightens that horse up, which is probably changed the race positionings early on. And I'd say that the 5 horses outside it had an unfair start as a consequence of that, or just after the start. And then you can see the horse is pretty wayward coming up the straight here. I'm not sure that the Bennett horse copped any further interference in the run. She did come out at maybe the 600 or 500 metre mark, and the horse in the white goes on to win the race. And I think it's Beauty Rising sort of storms so late once it picks itself up and only gets beat 0.08 of a length. I was just interested because obviously the Twitter world was in ruptures and the connections from the reports on Twitter weren't really happy on course. No protest. What did you think of the result? Should it have been upheld? What matters, I guess, that early in the race to change an outcome that late in the race, given the margin's so minute?
It doesn't happen often, but I backed one at Taree dead set 10 years ago, and mine led and won, and the thing came down the outside fence. So they were never more than within 20 horses of each other at any stage. It came from last and whatever. And I thought, I never even looked, and there was a protest upheld second versus first for interference at the start. And this was like minute, whatever. That was massive. The horse has got a barrier blanket, so it's obviously got an issue. You know, they always, things happen at the start, they kind of let them go. But that horse has obviously got a bad habit. No doubt that it's changed settling positions, how those horses travel. They cop interference. They're like us, you cop a whack on the chin. Takes you a while to settle down. Like if you asked me under a lie detector, did it change the result of the race? I'd probably say yes, nearly guaranteed. So, it was weird. I didn't watch the race live, and everyone was like, just waiting for the protest. And then I sort of watched it. I was like, there'll be, and then straight away, correct weight. And because there's a delay with stewards' reports, it just feels like they backfit the reports a little bit to the feeling around it. So once everyone sort of gets a bit vocal after the race, it's like, stewards looked at this, but decided not. And it just feels like it doesn't fit with what actually happened when there was no delay to correct weight. It just sort of went bang straight up, and then you get some participants or some owners getting vocal, saying we're unhappy that we didn't at least get it looked at. It's not a great look. I just feel like that they should have gone through the motions, even if they were going to dismiss it for not being confident. They probably should have at least made it, because it sounds like in the stewards report they basically had a protest without having one. Just make it public and put it out there so everyone understands what their reasoning is.
Have you ever seen one of these get upheld, DK, or what's your 2 bobs worth of this one at Hawkesbury?
On that particular one, I think like Walt just said, it changed positions, and so did you, but I don't think it did. And I think that's the reason. Like, if that horse had come out and knocked down prior to Jenny, or a leader, the cleaner, Vo Rogue, something was going to jump straight to the front and change the race and didn't get to the front because it got knocked down, then they'd upheld it. But that Bennett horse got a big shadow roll on it, was always going to be looking for cover, so it got the 1-1. And she didn't even come out on it at the 400. She was suck. Don't expose it too early, and let it flash at them late. So I don't think in that particular, I reckon that's the reason they didn't go on with it, because I don't think it upset they just slowed. They let the roll of the front. Nothing else dug up and wanted to get to the front. I don't know those horses, but I would have said yes. If you knock down a leader at the start who doesn't get the lead because you knocked it down, then you can. It changes the cause and effect. But
the third horse that it actually is probably the leader. That was the one I thought would protest and win. Is Happy Saturday, because he did it at the start. It's already led her at sort of wider gates, and then I thought she half chopped it off in the straight as well without stopping riding. And then it came again, sort of went past it, chopped it off, then it came again and got beat a short half head. I thought it had like huge grounds to protest as well. So
Nico, you put your Tulum Racing, your old man's hat on. You guys own a lot of horses. How are you feeling if you lost?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because you've had, if you are beauty rising, you have had the whole straight to run it down. It's just how much impact has the start had on you. So I think it could have gone either way. I'd be surprised. I would be surprised if they upheld that, even if there was a protest, just because there's so much uncertainty. So, but I get every single protest wrong, so I'm probably not the person to ask.
I tend to agree. Like I think it's hard to be certain, but if you lie detected me, I'd say it did. It's a tough one, but they should have been a protest.
And what were we looking at in the straight as well? Because in the stewards report, there's not even a mention of anything being wayward, laying in, racing greenly. There's no mention in the straight. So what were we looking in the straight? Because there was mention.
She crossed straight in front of that Happy Saturday. She went from outside him to straight off in front of him. He sort of had to stop riding, and then it's got beat a short half head. So
okay.
She's come from behind it to in front of it.
Not even a mention of any waywardness or anything. So
that's what we call
just a messy race.
Stewards reports.
Yeah, well, anyway, upset the apple cart. So, yeah, if you did your dough there, you'd feel pretty stiff. But just chalk it up as another way to get beat. But hadn't seen one of those for a long time.
I'll send you the replay of Chaperon Bay.
Obviously, you've got over it.
Oh, I remember we had $1,500 at $7. It took me a while to get over it.
Oh, it's a beautiful game sometimes. Quick one on the industry wrap-up. Little shout-out to thestraight.com.au. They're an online publication that do a great job reporting the news, racing, wagering, breeding, the whole box and dice. They've tabled some results from the Sportsbet report. It seems like they're down 7.1% on 2022, and it's not just them that are dragging the bottom line. It's consistent with Entain, who are down, who have obviously Ladbrokes and Neds, and obviously it's highly publicised how soft the Tab Corp figures. Sportsbet report that staking alone, so is the amount of bets placed is 19% lower. So again, big drag down, and it's not just the racing industry. It's overall, and there's lots of industry struggling given a range of economic problems and the recovery from the COVID era that we speak about a lot. The boys are revving me up in the intro. I responded to a tweet from Richard Irvine, and that was about an RSN interview they conducted with interim CEO Aaron Morrison, who's been at Racing Victoria for about 7 years. I think he's the COO, so he's the logical person that you'd put in if the CEO's gone, which is Andrew Jones. It was a 27-minute interview, and I just sort of questioned the interview slightly and thought that it was much of the same story that we've heard from RV. I've tried to get one of the executives on the show, and I posed a list of questions. They requested a list of what I'd asked them, and I sent that a long time ago, and I've just heard cricket. So I guess part of my tweet was in frustration with that, and just hearing the same thing for someone who's been there for a long time. And Richie thinks that maybe Aaron Morrison's the right person to become CEO of Racing Victoria. So I think, like if the same people are doing the same job, you're going to get much of the same results. And I didn't really take much out of the 27-minute interview that would turn the dial for punters. So I'm still not hearing that they're going to make any changes, and with their POC tax going to increase in July from 10 to 15%, I think we're in for much more pain for the next sort of 6 to 12 months. So you can follow the Little Birdie TV handle if you want to have a look at some of those conversations. There's a fair few different opinions and some back and forth. But yeah, I guess my major, gripe is how the game's changing from, a skill-based pursuit for the last probably 100 years, and we're sort of venturing into the depths of more of a casino model. So the NBLs are pretty useless if the market and the value is sort of extracted from it. So that's, my rebuttal. But, I don't think...
The only thing I would have taken exception to if I was you, because it wasn't directed at me for once, but... was that Richie kind of made out that we just make a lot of hot air noise and don't do anything about it. Whereas, he's got to be pretty confident in what he's saying if he doesn't know the conversations we're having. I've spoken to racing ministers. I know you've got a lot of contact with people that you've met at Betfair and independently since you've been doing this show. So we're all trying to do our best, and not just for things that suit our own interests. The whole ecosystem of racing is what we sort of want a strong balance in to make the whole show roll on and improve, not just punters too, and not just one or two things. So, if trainers go broke, we're in trouble. If jockeys aren't at a standard, we're in trouble. If tracks aren't at a standard, the whole game's in trouble. So there's a lot bigger things that need to be targeted, the whole industry wide. So, it's no point fighting with each other either. We're all trying to hopefully get to a common goal that improves everyone's experience.
Exactly. And my questions are there out in the public as well, so I didn't think any of them were too difficult to answer, and I think there's about half a dozen. So I might pin my tweet to the at Little Birdie TV handle, and everyone can have a look at those 6 questions that I was trying to pose to some of the guys at RV. And there's a range of stuff from programming, how Betfair could improve, and lots of different things about prize money, about all sorts of things. So again, long-term sustainability is sort of all I'm arguing for. I just want to be a punter or a part-time punter, and I want the next generation to have, the same excitement for racing as the opportunities I've sort of had, and all the old boys and all the old bookmakers that I sort of talk of, and that bookie ring that used to be so good down at Warrnambool, and all those sort of carnival experiences, which tends to be going one way, sadly, at the moment.
Listen, I've the most recent meeting I had sort of with guys in there was Aaron was in it, and that was with Rich and Kingsley. That was a few years ago now. I think he's been in the wagering, like he's managed a lot of the big wagering stuff in there. So I don't think anyone would have a better handle on the wagering aspect of that position than he would. You can go get the bloke in from. Where was Jones from? BBL or whatever, and that I wouldn't understand. So he understands the punt. He's been in the weight 7 years. So 2016, 2017, he's been in there. Been there when this dramatic transformations happened in the last 7 years, like massive, and especially I know in my own stuff it's changed, how much it's changed. So if he gets, it's whether he's the right person and can control Munzes and people like that. But if he gets Gill in there, so him and Gill as a team, Gill at the top. Gill can control people and pull people into line, but I think Aaron, I don't think it'd be a more qualified person wagering wise. So and that's only one aspect of the ecosystem. Then he's got to handle the trainers and I reckon the punters blew. The trainers blew more than the punters. Don't worry about that. Anyway, Nico, what do you think? You've met Aaron, haven't you? Did you meet him at the Bull or something?
Yeah, I met him at the Bull, and I was having a good chat to him about his racehorses, and he has a bet, so he's got some skin in the game. Unlike potentially a few others that have been in certain similar roles. So I sort of thought there was a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, like when he was mentioning if sort of Gill comes across, and then there could be a few sort of change-ups there as well. So, I thought there was a little bit of light there.
I took one, I think it was one sentence he said, we need to make the Victorian racing product the most appealing for the WSPs to push or to have front and centre on their wagering. That's his go. So, and that makes, you do what you do. We want it ahead of New South Wales. We want it on their front pages. We want them promoting it. So I know Scoot's talking about that, making adjustments, helping the bookies. Hopefully that's what it means, because we want our product, we want them to, one way to get back at Volandes and all that, to get people betting on our stuff more, make it more enticing for the WSPs. And speaking of that, you're saying sports, but just back to sports bet, Scoot. Well, the sports bet came in, I was there 2013. That's when the Paddy Bow blokes came in and they're going to, they've run the joint, not they've run the game into the ground, putting the UK model in and bringing it in as they've done. And now they're going to, they're scarpering to US now. US is now their new ground. They used to think Australia is, the holy grail. Oh, yeah, we'll get in there and it's a new country. Now they've had 10 years here, driven us down into the ground, and now they're going to go and put all their attention, sending all the big execs to the US. I don't think they foresee any more growth here. I think it's peaked. I don't know. What do you think about that, Scoot?
Yeah, I tend to agree, and I can echo some of those sentiments. And I think Marco on Twitter sort of addressed them and answered them in a couple of things that he said. But the concern for me with that is if sport's better flat, and if the bigger guys are flat, so Tabcorp, Entain, everyone across the board is flat or in decline, no one can grow. So that means TopSport can't grow. It means the new person in the game can't grow. And that just keeps putting downward pressure on the market.
Well, didn't they say we're moving out because all future growth, most of our future growth is going to be in the US. We're moving our head office to New York. That's what I read in that thing they put out. So
yeah,
whereas
and
in
I agree with that.
2013, they thought, Australia's the new one. They sent two big guns out here, Cormac Barry and Johnny Harnett. I remember that when they came out from Paddy Bow to take over Sportsbet and transform it into this, UK-like model. And they haven't done a bad job. They would have done a much better job if Richie hadn't gotten their way with the NBLs. But anyway.
But I guess my advocacy comes from the punters, which the bookies will just pass on the end cost to the punters. So it all will trickle down to us. And so if you put a strangulation on the bookies that promote the game, market the game, take all the bets, incentivise not just the recreational punters, it stifles the whole thing. So there has to be a balance, which is good. But how many levers can you really pull if you're a PRA? So if you can't just tax. You need to start to look at your cost base, which sadly is prize money and other areas of your business, because the number one person that funds the game is punters, and the people that are in a JV, Racing Victoria and the wagering operators. So they need to get the metric right and the tax rate right so that the punters can stay in the game long enough. Because how many blokes have you seen walk away from the game, DK, and how many full-time pro punters now are semi-pro punters and are struggling? They probably would have gone from 100 bets a week, and now you're down to what? Maybe 5 decent bets a week.
And even flicking through Twitter, you see it's a common thing. Guys are saying, what my turnover was in the 2016, 2017. I know what mine was back then, and let alone what it is now. And people are saying that you can just see it in conversations. Everyone's saying it. So it's just. And that I'm saying there's not, when that POC tax, I reckon they've already built it in. There's not going to be any new big changes to pricing or anything on the, they've had 12 months to prepare for it. So I'm thinking that's, what we've got now with the 50, what's the going to 15%?
Yeah,
the 1st of July. Yeah. So I'm thinking that's pretty much been built in now, and that's why it's got even tougher now. So how do you regress? Governments need tax. The governments are broke. They're going to want the tax. They hardly repeal back many taxes. So yeah, I don't know. But I don't know when do, we have recessions and we have cost of living, and then things are great, and there's good and there's bad. When's it going to be okay? There's cost of living. We'll just let the wagering. We'll just see where it sits. When are they going to? When's the drawing line to say, okay, we do have to cut prize money, stuff like that? When's that going to be?
Well, that's what my question is. When the next 6 to 12 months, if they don't alter their race fields, that's when we're going to see bodies hit the floor. So that means more punters, more bookmakers are going to shut up shop. And if they're not going to pull the levers, which Racing Queensland have already done, it's going to be not viable. So who knows what's left of to promote the sport. If that continues, you'll just see maybe six of the top tier bookies survive, and the rest of them, perhaps TopSport will fold. Perhaps our show will fold. Like it's all a possibility.
It's good that, like I said, Queensland's done it, because they've got, Jason Scott in there, understands wagering, right? Really, really well. So hopefully, and then showing the way, that you need someone to show the way. To say, okay, we can, whatever in promotions they've put in place for this Queensland Carnival, the changes they've made to their taxes, it can be done, and it's fine from someone who understands wagering. So maybe, hopefully, Aaron goes along the same vein, Scoot.
I think the proof will be in the pudding. Until we see the changes to make bookies more viable, I'll just believe it when I see it. There was nothing in that 27-minute interview for me that would make life better for punters. Like, it was all just much of the same stuff that we've heard for far too long. So that's sort of where I sit with it.
Well, but he's only interim CEO as well, so he's not going to be making any grand statements, I wouldn't have thought, predicting that he's going to get the gig.
Anyway, I'm sure there'll be more to play out on the Twitter sphere if you want to join the conversation at Little Birdie TV, or jump into my handle. And there's plenty of people with, self-interest and long-term interest for the game, but everyone's sort of wanting the same thing. And I guess it's just the little bit of, argy-bargy and iterations between. So fingers crossed the great game will live on for many, many more years to come. Today's show, Donnie is back. He's going to go hunting down at Scone. Roll on high. Is that horse dead, or are we just going to forgive it off that Sunshine Coast bog?
Moody's just doing a lot of weird things and extending preps and up and down in trip and gear changes, which is not unusual for him, but yeah, doing some weird things. So I don't know. It was a very strange placement.
Periel was an easy watch, so got all the punters off to a winning start last Saturday. J Mac Peach. Queensland could be your go. Well, you might...
just send a Sydney horse up that's got 8 on them every week. We'll be all right. We'll be a chance.
Isn't that the Brisbane Winter Carnival? Is that
sometimes, but that was a good one. That was a good because it went like a car wreck the first 400 metres, and then it went by 6. So it was one of them a week would be nice.
Nico's back to Flemington this week, so good to see racing back at headquarters, but he's going to chime into Friday night at Cranbourne. He's going to step on DK's toes. Hopefully not a car crash there. Last week, the broken clock found one, Hardware Lane, off the map, and I was a bit nervous when Mark, was it 2+3, stumbled out of the gate.
Mark 2+3, yeah.
Yeah, he regained, and it was a pretty easy watch at the end. So this Saturday at Doomben looks like a punter's paradise. I would have thought there's some rain about, so it might stay in the soft zone. We've got hammered overnight at the Gold Coast here. Did you get much at your joint, Wold, or nothing?
Hosed, but I checking the forecast, there was nothing for Brisbane, but maybe...
I'll be surprised if they didn't get some.
Yeah.
TopSport Steam come back to earth, which always the way. They went 4 from 4, then they went 0 from 3, and then Jimmy the Bear was probably the best of them. But I think there was a tearaway leader for my vague memory over in Adelaide, and Jimmy couldn't reel it in. So bold front running ride cost anyone following that. TopSport, our major sponsor, best of the best on all Queensland group racing for the Winter Carnival. So that's a beauty. So you don't have to fish out the price. So just lock in Bob, and it's up to $5,000. If the horse drifts beyond what you've locked in, you might be able to get on to win more than $5,000. So a nice little spoil there from TopSport, with thanks to Racing Queensland, who are on board with the punters, trying to increase their turnover. So you will be silly if you're not betting in Queensland all this winter and chasing some of your favourite New South Wales and Vic horses across the border. Nico, Friday night at Cranbourne is the first one we're going to have a look at here, and it looks like you're hunting later. It's race number 8. It's the TopSport benchmark 64 handicap over 1,300 metres, and Hype Man is the favourite here, $2.50. Dakarai is $5, Night People $5, Jessup $9, Gin O'Clock $10, Sleeper $13, and much, much better the rest. Hype Man is the horse that you like from the Matt Laurie yard in the blue colours.
Yeah, led this night at quite a fast tempo, but I thought looking through the sectionals on punting form, given how fast he went early, about 2 lengths above relative to maiden class, which is quite quick for the course and distance. His 4 to 200 metre split was actually the 8th fastest of the meeting. So I think from here on, he's probably clocked off a little bit. He's a horse that wears the near side winker, and on his run first up, he went up the inside, probably didn't look all that comfortable inside of horses. He missed the start. He over-raced in the early stages. He got beat $1.45, and I'm happy to forgive that run and sort of take him off his last run, which, he was $1.50 in that race, and he was expected to win, but I thought it was a pretty dominant performance given how fast he went early in those that 4 to the 200 metre split. And even looking back through his form last campaign, he bumped into Quickstar in a race. He was probably unlucky on debut at Bendigo, who was flashing home late over 1,000 metres, just potentially wanted a bit further. A son of done deal. So, I think he's a horse with good talent. I've thought that from day one, looking at his jump outs leading into that Bendigo race. And I think maybe this preparation with the gelding and that gear adjustment and having the 2 runs at Cranbourne over 1,300 metres, which is what he runs again over Friday night, I think that will hold him in good stead. I'd love them just to go straight to the lead again and, just take away a few of the other opposition's probably chance. If they cross and lead him and he's in the box seat, might be a bit of a tricky watch. But if he goes straight to the front, I think he will win. And I think he's a horse destined for bigger things than benchmark 64 grade. And Ethan Brown, DK, he's been flying. I think he rode a treble at Cranbourne, I think 2 weeks ago, and potentially a double, at least one winner last week. So he's the right man for the job at the moment. He knows this horse. So happy to back in E. Brown.
I saw him at the it was a while ago now, but him and C. Gaudre, his missus, were at the leisure centre I go to, prepping up, having a sauna and whatever. Yeah, she goes, right, C. Gaudry. But E. Brown looked as fit as a Mallee bull. So he looked, I know after he had his fall, he must have got in the gym. He looked as fit as a Mallee bull, so no surprise there, Nico. I'd say you'll know your fate here after, first 200 or 300. Froggy could be handlebars down on that night people. So it's, might be first to blink, One hand's up and one E. Brown. They're both sort of fitter into their prep now. So, I think which one gets the front. If they roll along, you'd still think Hype Man might be able to come off Froggy's back. But it's a nice horse. I tipped night people on the show the other week, and it won. Couldn't be more. It won. Couldn't be nearly as impressively as your thing, despite a different race shape.
Yeah, that was the thing, wasn't it? It was 1400. They went a little bit slower, as that was 13, and they went quite fast. Now Night People comes back to 13. Hype Man stays at 13.
I don't think coming back in Trip Froggy's going to be sedate on it. You know what I mean? There's already one over 1400. It's fit. I'll get going on this, see if I can get the front. That'll be interesting. It's going to be a bit of a race. It's two pretty nice horses, both pissed they're maidens. So, but if yours see Pipe Man jumps and bounces, be hard to beat. But yeah, that gelding operation looks the difference for him, Nico.
For sure.
Outstanding. Can't wait to watch that one. I think you're trying to troll me here, Nico. Flemington Race 8's the next one. It's the Lexus Andrew Ramsden handicap. It's a 2,800 metre race here. This is my eras. This is camel racing at its best. The map, one of my old faves. It's got D Lane on, $2.80. Lionel, $7 from the Seymour Yard with Ethan Brown on, mostly cloudy. Not sure if I've forgiven that horse yet. $8. Strawberry Rock, $8.50. Let's Be Frank, baby, $9.50. Acceleration, $10. Little Mix, $12. Captain Envious, one of Waltz and DK's horses, $20. Esty Fenny got the exemption for the Caulfield Cup, $21. Farrago, $21. Samuel Longhorn, $21. Garachicho, $41. Then you got Verify, $41. And Dashing Duchess and old Port Guillaume, who ran a big race and ran second in the Galleywood. So, bit of a blast from the past, that horse too. Replay we're going to have a look at here. The horse you like is Acceleration. Nico, tell us why you like it.
The map's cruising up to the race in the white cap with the blue, and Acceleration's back towards the inside in the blue cap. This was the Adelaide Cup, and the map's had a run since this, but Acceleration comes into it, I think it'll be, 69 days come Saturday. So the map has had a run since and won in the Port Adelaide Cup, but it wasn't much of a race. I just couldn't quite work it out. Acceleration, I think, had, he was from 2,400 up to 32, question mark at the distance. It was a fast run race, and he's stronger than her late. He started $4.40. The horse is airborne, winning his last three. Recent trial at Horsham, he couldn't have gone much better over 1,400 metres. I know he beat a few jumpers, but the horse is just humming. The map's here at $2.80 and he's $10. I didn't quite work that out. I thought him $3 the place has to be a pretty attractive bet if she's $2.80 to win. I know she's had the run since, but like I said, it wasn't much of a race, the Port Adelaide Cup, and he just seems really well in here. Maybe the market's taking him on because he rises in the weight, 53.5 up to 58.5, but so does she. So, I just think the horse is airborne. He showed last start he can run a strong 3,200 metres. This race is a golden ticket race into the Melbourne Cup, 2,800, and the most recent editions of this race we've had, they're usually quite fast run because there's a lot on the line. So he's handled the pressure of 3,200 metres. So you think big track, Flemington, 2,800, backing in Richie Cully. He seems to get it right with this horse more often than not. In the recent trial at Horsham was slick work. So if she's $2.80 and he beat her fair and square 2 starts ago, I think he just has to be shorter. I could see him starting shorter. So I'm happy to have something on him at $10 and hoping he starts, close to 6 or 7, and we take the overs and potentially have a crack at him each way. I didn't really see any other dangers aside from them two. I think they looked at 2 key chances. Little Mix was okay in the Warrnambool Cup. 2,800 is probably a slight query, and I thought if there was a few horses on the up, they're not suited on the weight scale, but Samuel Langhorn's a very progressive stag. It's Mick D aboard. I think he'll be suited 2,800. Do you think, DK?
Yeah, that's the one. Beware the one, the up-and-comers. He won 4 in a row or something now. And like, we thought it might have been a bit of a non-winner, and then he's just turned himself into a line finder sort of horse. And I think Mickey D won this race last year, didn't he? So, he's won.
He's another one that rises in the weights. He had 54.5 last start in 84, now he's got 58, but he does look quite a progressive horse, and 2,800 is going to be a big tick for him. So he might be the knockout chance, but I would expect one of the Map or Acceleration to win, and there's just too big a discrepancy between him and the market for me.
Oh, he's a Launceston Cup winner. Acceleration. Shout out to our good mates at Taz Racing. Lionel.
Yes.
Very, what's the word? Very scary runner here.
Very
C-Mar
type prep, isn't it? The first up, then
very
the trial.
whiffy. Hey,
it's
first
quite
up,
a journey to win
2,000.
this prep, you know.
If this horse's grand final day here and that run was just a pipe opener back in April, what do you know about this horse, Nico?
Well, one of our horses actually beat at home last start, Think and Fly, and I wouldn't be backing him in a Ramsden, so I don't know if that's the right sort of form line. He was getting warm late, and it was his first crack in Australia. 2,800 will suit him, but I think the acceleration, the Map, they got the runs on the board, whereas Lionel, like, it was a race where Aaron Bay, I think and Fly should have beat Aaron Bay, and a lot of the rest of the field didn't sort of turn up. So, yeah, I'm a bit suspect on that form at this grade. But yeah, he's a horse with some upside for sure.
The other one that I was going to ask about, Nico, Mostly Cloudy. I thought it was obviously 3 back the fence, just got held up there and flashed behind Mark Twain, and then it didn't have things since Gold's won the Sydney Cup. Looks to map for a similar run that it did back at Flemington, the Roy Higgins.
Yeah, him and Strawberry Rock through that Roy Higgins, I think 2 starts ago, they looking in play, but I would have thought if acceleration or the Map was in the Roy Higgins, they would have been right in the finish as well. There was a bit of a bunch finish, and they just looked 2 stays with a lot of upside. So backing in the Adelaide form on Saturday.
Captain Envious, no love for an old boyfriend of you boys? Nothing?
So yeah, he'd prefer that softer, but yeah.
2,800, not sure either.
He's done his job.
He's done his job, says Walty. Yeah, Samuel Langhorn's the real X-Factor quaddie horse, so that'll be in my quaddie numbers for sure. Beautiful stuff, Nico. Puntingform.com.au is a tool that Nico absolutely loves, so if you want to transition to a semi or full-time punter, if you want to be one of the last of the Mohicans, make sure you check out puntingform.com.au, and you can match what you see with the eyes, with the data that they provide. Bloody good people, Punting Form. Still with us, Walt?
Yep.
It's time to talk.
You've got me thinking too much now. I'm overthinking life. It's all right.
What's wrong?
Just we're good. We're good. Battle.
What are you going to open up a fish and chip shop or something now? Eh? What are you thinking?
Yeah, but who put me on the front of someone? Did someone Facebook me with Pauline Hanson there a couple of days ago? That was actually not too bad.
Pretty easy.
Exactly.
You're not doing yourself any favours putting out all this content with this charity challenge, are you?
Sure.
You're just leaving yourself wide open. Would you agree?
Well, I hope that I got punished, that I'd get more money for this poor little 2-year-old, but I'm not even getting money for him. So we're going to have to switch it up. Might have to start putting. If you want me to punish myself, you're going to have to pay, because I think there's going to be a lot more punishment coming, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Well, Richie Irvine's obviously flying, so you may as well stamp him for 1,000.
Oh, no comment.
Let's have a look at Scone, race 6. It's the Yarraman Park Denise's Joy Stakes. Springlee is the favourite here, $3.60. Commemorative $4.80. Martini Mama, $5. Saltaire, $8. Zia, $13. Sicilian, $13. I make good pizza there. Ballroom Bella, $14. Cigar Flick, one of your old ones. Walt, $17. Oz Empress, $21. Fire Lane, $21. First replay we're going to have a look at here is Springlee.
So this was actually one of my challenge races. I was on the Godolphin horse behind the leader, and she drew wide here and had to drag it just right at the back, over race, typical Canterbury on fence day, and you can see how quickly this horse sort of toes itself into the race, gets to the outside, and they ran time too. So it's not like a huge margin win, but everything against. I think that's Jewelry up on the inside, who's short in another race on the program, and it obviously had inside run favours, whereas she had to circle the field. Very, very nice little resuming run.
And the next one we're going to have a look at here is Left Field.
So Left Field's back last-ish in the orange with the stripes on the cap sort of working to the outside, just pushes that horse out of the way here. So this was about 60-odd days ago.
Yellow and red.
Yep, yellow and red. I'm colourblind. Ex-Mark Newnham horse. You can see, again, another horse that certainly knows how to find the line. Like, that was pretty soft win. Not too many horses win like that, and there was no big pace assistance or anything there too. So what you see is what you get there. It's about 60 days between runs. I think that was a very soft race compared to this huge class rise, but had a little blowout trial on the synthetic where it was just allowed to stretch its legs. No issue there that I could see. I thought it moved well. So it's like, what is it, 40 to 1?
Yeah, $41 at TopSport.
Yeah, so it looks crazy. You've got three Waterhouse runners, Zia, Sicilian, Oz Empress, interesting riders on all of them. They'll all get tactics to roll forward. So I'm assuming they're going to go too quick. You've got Gold Lover with a really wide draw that only knows one way as well. Ballroom Bella's drawn wide, needs to find a spot. So I can't see a way this race is not run fast for at least the first half. And, I wouldn't be concerned if the Waterhouse runners sort of worked it out by that stage and did a little anchor drop, and that would allow Rachel to come into the race even more. So if it had Blake Shin or something, I think this horse would be even money off that win. I thought its win was just hugely dominant. Martini Mama's in the race, coming out of highway grade. Tanglewood come out once. It was impressive, but sort of getting deep into its first prep. If it can beat a horse like Spring Lee, too good. And, just huge price left field. Commemorative's the other horse that's in the market.
Always had a bit of a spruik, hasn't it?
Yeah, she's just that big giant filly. I don't know. She's just in and out. She races well fresh and then just looks awkward. Just any time she cops a bump or doesn't get everything go away in the run, she's a horse that looks like she'd be better off sitting five wide, no cover than box seating and winning. So, she's dangerous. But again, I just think this horse has got that electric turn of foot and quite adaptable. If they don't go super quick, it could end up, 2-3 lengths closer without surprising, and that would be fine too. I like staying at 1100. I think she's better at 11 than 12 from what I've seen. So, yeah, I think she's going to be very hard to beat. Schumacher's the big question mark, but you get what you get. I think they put up $6. Like, Jesus Christ. It won't be if it's $6, its head's fallen off in the mounting yard.
I don't have the stats at hand, but Uncle Bjorn loves the Scone Carnival, doesn't he? He's got a good record.
He sort of takes them through here rather than going straight to Brisbane a lot of the time too. So he targets this meeting, and like this horse just ideal Scone sort of horse. The track does get a bit funky the second day, but hopefully it's the fence that goes cactus and they don't do anything crazy like roll it or anything silly. And any sort of even track, I think it'll be a good day's racing. And this race is a nice little contest. Denise's joy. Cracking
Carnival Scone. Tricky, like Warrnambool, to get your accommodation. So you got to book in early, but definitely put that one on your bucket list. It's outstanding to go to Scone, and then you can stay at Singleton, or you might just want to charter a minibus if you got a good big group of mates. But
we did the Winnebago there last time. We did the stayed at the caravan park because we couldn't get accommodation. I remember drove Tegan Harrison and that down there because I think they ended up getting a room, but we were at the caravan park. That was an interesting carnival, but anyway, good fun.
Beautiful. Yeah, so make sure you check that one out. Get a group of mates and go down there. It's a pretty good time of year to try and get away as well. So an absolute must-do. Scone Carnival, get around it. Walt, you're going to start torturing yourself up at Doomben for some more action here. The first one we're going to have a look at is race 3. It's the Moreton Hire 3-year-old plate with some cutest bonuses on the line there. The instructor, Gaybot, $5 raises, $6.50. McHale's, $7. Miraval Rose, Beggy's Horse, $7. Chrysaor, $8.50. Rowbrick, $8.50. Golden Decade, $9.50. And then $12 Abounding. Sticky draw again for that one. And then Panic and Acid Wash, Centify, Amore. Got a bit of a tail on this race, but the replay we're going to have a look at here is McHale running behind Schwartz at Hawkesbury.
Yeah, so the key to this race is they went out about 15 lengths below. So it was just a complete embarrassment of a race. And McHale's in the white and, what do you call that, maroon sleeves or green or something back in the pack. Just never really gets any room to move, wind up. And I still ran like fastest last 6, 4, 2, 1, 50,
gator,
20. Of the day and never really gets a crack at him, runs third, I think. So a perfect little squirt up. I think DK likes to use that. It's just a little sit and sprint 400-metre dash up that should have it perfect for this race. Gate 1, J-Mac, midfield. Gets any luck, it'll be squirting home again. What's this one? Oh, this is Razors. So this is Razors. This is 1,600 back to 14. So both the races I've looked at, they're basically my sort of horses that I've been following, and they've finally found their right setup. And this bloke's just a very solid, rock solid horse, you'd call him.
Timmy On.
Yeah, Timmy On, 16 back to 14. He's had 3 or 4. I'm a little bit worried that he might not be dynamic, but I'm just assuming that if they go quick here, he's just going to sit off him. He's going to look the winner, and then hopefully McHale's just ripping past him late. The other horse that I was scared of is the instructor. He looked like he was back to his own self at Canterbury last start, but very different Canterbury. Well, Canterbury Doomben does measure up a little bit, but there should be more pressure here than what he copped at Canterbury. I sort of tossed and turned between the two of them because I was trying to find the horse that was going to lead kick or be up there and kick, and McHale was going to be the one chasing it. And I just went with the soft draw, solid option. Rays is going to stalk, but I'm more eggs in the McHale basket, that's for sure. And just hoping that J-Mac can sort of midfield and any sort of clear running. I think this horse is a pretty good horse.
This is not my sort of go here. Have you got any opinions on some of these Victorians, Nico? This looks like something that you'd play in.
Yeah, definitely. I backed McHale, was it in the Carbine or one of those sort of races up in Sydney, in the mile race, and he just looked like he sort of come back a new horse, his preparation. One runner I was very interested in, he made a much improved run last start, but if he gets back to anywhere near his spring form, and I think the visors going on last start might have had a big impact on that, is Centrify. Like, he did run third to Stapati and Southport Tycoon. Looking through a few ratings, that's the best rating of any horse throughout their career in this race. So if he can get back to that, I think he's definitely a chance. And last start, they put the visors back on him, and he definitely showed signs of life. So I know he's a horse that does have a few issues, so a track with a bit of give in it might also help him as well. So if he got out to 20-1, I think he's a horse with much more talent than a few of the other runners. It's just whether he's at his best.
One of the fellas in the Discord part owns him, and we get the trials and tribulations of Certify quite often. He's if Mars had sort of 4 in the race, he's been top pick 2 weeks out, and then he has a stone bruise or a nick or a cut or an infection. He's just had a lot of little setbacks over and over. So, if we get knocked out, I'm more than happy for it to be the horse. But I don't think he was anywhere near his best the other day physically. That'll bring him on. So, he should improve off what he did there for sure. And he just looked like he blew out. He looked like he was home there and blew out the last 100.
Mm. I thought a bounding was probably best of the Queenslanders. Putting my Queensland hat on, I thought it was a nice little squirt out trial in the Mick Dittman over 1,000 metres. But barrier 18, Martin Harley, Rob Heatchote, tells me it won't be on Saturday. I think they'll give it a second tune up, and I'd be surprised. Horse has got a bit of ability though, so he's one to follow, but might be just set too big a task. Mm. You are a glutton for punishment, Walt. Doomben race 9 is the next one I'm going to have a look at. It's a rough habit plate, so all leading in towards the Queensland Derby. Autumn Angel's a favourite here, $2.45. Tannhauser, $5.50. Kintyre, $6. Port Lockroy, 9 to $7.50. Gold Bullion, $8.50. Presslink, $13. Chico Mojito, $20. And Coda, $31. More Trouble, and $34. And Kiri Khan is $34. Wow. Port Lockroy tipped it on...
kind of had to, right?
Well, you tipped it last start, and it was a complete carve-up job from Hippo, and you can see him just going for a pie on the corner in the yellow, the widest.
This is the day you couldn't come wide. And again, track was... That was slow tempo as well, sorry. So I think he ran the fast last 200 of the day. My little worry is that he does look not cast on the line, but he's... He definitely not charging through the line, even though he's run the fastest last 200 of the day. But you've got to take into account the effort that he's had to make to get there again. Last 800 metres against the pattern, against the tempo. So, Canberra was the same, huge there. He should have probably won at Randwick, draws 14, the start after. I can't drop off. That was a problem. And I'll just look like an absolute clown if he wins. And which I'm not, adverse to, as you're aware, but it's too big a price. $8, finally draws 5. Everyone's got him mapped third last. There's no way in the world he'd be there. I've told Hippo I'm never talking to again until he tries on this horse. And when I say try, I mean puts it into the race, not drags it out.
He's finally got a gate, so there's no excuse.
He does, and he's drawn, I think, right near Gold Bullion, who will sort of take him into a spot. You've got to take on Autumn Angel, I think, sort of 24 back to 2. I think this won't be a tune-up, but it basically will be. They're just getting it ready for the Derby or whatever it's going into. 13th of April last seen, 24 back to 2 where it won the Oaks. It's obviously a very talented horse, but likely to get that the ride that Port Lockroy's got his last 2 starts. I'd say they'll just be ultra-conservative early, and if she's over the top of them, she is, but $2.40 or $50, too good. Kintyre draws 1 again, so it hasn't won out a turn prior to its last 2, where it's drawn 1 and 2 and had perfect runs and sort of got over the top of them. But it's start 22. It's a dead set warhorse, Kintyre. It'll be there and bashing. I thought it was probably the main danger, to be honest, and because I'm not certain that Tannhauser runs a strong 2,000. I think you're paying a bit of J-Mac tax there. So when I was looking at the race, I was like, well, if you're wobbly on Tannhauser and Autumn Angel's got a bit against it, you've kind of got to be with Port Lockroy. I think probably each way, the only way he doesn't run a huge race here if he doesn't run 2,000 out, and he's already ran quite well over us. I just can't not see him running top 3 unless something strange happens. So I think he's an each way solid option at $8 or whatever he is.
Definitely D-Day, and my only worry is what's going to happen at 2,000 metres. But Nico, any insight there? Because I'd probably just echo Walt's thoughts and can't add.
Yeah, you'd think Port Lockroy probably has to settle closer from the barrier. Tannhauser was huge in the mile. The Carbine Club where he flew home against Chukas, beat Kintyre, and then Kintyre turned the tables in the Frank Packer plate, but just nowhere near the fence on that occasion, and the fence was on fire. So I think he can probably rate back towards what he did in the Carbine, which would definitely make him a key winning chance. He hasn't won for a while, and it's probably the question mark is he hasn't been up since. I think his first run was in the CS Hayes, so that's back in February. So he's been up for a while. Now has to go up to Queensland, but right man for the job. And you get J-Mac. There probably is a little bit of a tax there, but I think if you were chips in on him last start, you probably got to have something on against Saturday because he just was no chance of winning with how the track played, and the run prior would see him a huge chance. So I'd probably lean that way, but I might want a little bit better than 550. Hopefully maybe 7 or 8 come race day.
All right, that's Walt's little preview, and that's his best bets for the weekend. So make sure you tune into racingwatch.com.au and check out his Discord channel if you want the full Monty, or if you just want the SMS service, you can get the Telegram stuff there. And he's also doing the charity challenge. He's got the Kick studio, the Kick stream every Saturday. I don't know if it's time to sleep and hang out with the missus and take her out for lunch.
I've eliminated sleep. I've eliminated hanging out with the missus too. She's a bit angry at the moment. Mother's Day, apparently I carved up horrifically. I tried my best, but apparently apparently the day was for everyone but her. But you can't keep everyone happy like you and Richie.
Doomben race 2 is the first race that I'm going to have a look at, and soft 6 I'm hearing at the moment. So interesting to see how it plays out. I'd be surprised if they get in the good range, but I think it might just stay soft if they've copped as much rain as we have. The race that I like here is race 2. It's the Star Benchmark 78 handicap. Weigel Tiger is $3.50 into $3. Warby $5.50. Space Tracker $7.50. Sunfall $8.50. Mintaka Lad $10. Celius is $11. Black Max $12. TikTok Queen $16. 2 Harder Refuse $16. Deferential Johnny's Horse $17. Outlawed $20. And much better the rest. The horse that I like here is Weigel Tiger. And just getting restrained here in behind them in the black and the gold colours. But CJ just had a mitts all over this horse the entire race, and he's a horse that if you can sit him in the first 2 pairs rather than 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, he's really hard to run down, and you can sort of see his last 300 metres here after being held up was absolutely superb. The horse that wins there is Golden Decade, and you've got Inhibitions there. So this horse could have gone into Walt's race in race 3 against the Instructor, Razors, McHale, and all those classy horses with Golden Decade, who's a $9.50 chance there. But they've opted to go, I think, the softer approach, the Benchmark 78. It can map perfectly, and I think you're just betting on whether CJ butchers the ride or not, which is a harsh thing to say. But if you go through and have a look at his run at the Gold Coast last preparation, and then you go through the pattern of all his races last preparation, when he settles first, second, third or fourth, he's the horse to beat. And then if they restrain him any further, he sort of half resents it and he gets stuck in between traffic. But I think this is a really progressive horse. I think he's only had 10 starts, super honest. As DK says, he's a line finder. Gets a claim here. The bookies haven't missed him. So I actually think this is a great horse to take Bob. I think the syndicates will try and put the line through CJ alone, and you might get $3.50. You might even get $4. Not sure what Ryan Maloney's going to do on Warby. But yeah, I think Warby is a horse that's definitely on the up.
I'm just proud of you, mate. I'm proud of you. You pivoted away from Warby. You've taken the hit on the chin from last night that we all took. I reckon I'll start odds on.
Who?
I think Weigel Tiger will start odds on and just win.
All right, you better lock in the $3.
Oh yeah, well you can go 50-50. We'll back each other. Right? I can't. I think it's as obvious as what you're saying. I think it'll roll forward and everyone will work that out. And these are the horses they don't shy away from CJ. She still rides a lot of winners. we just tend to be on the backside of it, don't we? So El Mazzillo's in. I think it gets Craig Williams for the first time. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But, she does ride a lot of winners. She's very popular. We probably are on the back end of her, but I think this one's as obvious as you're saying. It'll just roll forward and be very, very, very hard to beat.
Yeah, I think it looks hard to beat. I did see some funny content. I think it was with the rant that your man Benny Asghari, he's a big advocate of having half his stake on early and then a little bit of half late, Nico, just for his handling his majors there. I don't know if I could bet like that. I think I'd just go bang straight on.
Benny's got a bit of head noise. That's his main issue. So he's always trying to get the best price, and if they drift out late, he's filthy even if they win. So I think it's just all to keep him sweet.
After listening to it, I thought, geez, he's got a bit going on in the melon there. I actually loved it. I thought it was great content.
That's true. That's good. It's authentic. It's what you want.
It's great. It just goes to show everyone's just trying to do the same thing. Fish out the price. No one knows. We're guessing. We're trying to beat the syndicates who have got more intel and more bullets than us, and we're just trying to.
They've got more influence. I know that,
and more influence on the market. So we're just trying to keep our heads above water. Us little fellas here. Doomben Race 6 is the next race that I'm going to preview. It's the Spirit of Boom Classic over 1,200 metres. Some good horses lining up here. Angel Capital 4 into 350. El Morzillo $4.20. Bitter Creek $6.50. Rich Dotty $7.50. Zuna $8. President $8.50. Bazusto is $9, and then you got Heavenly Impact further out the gate at $17. The horse that's screamed out to me is Angel Capital here, and Jamie Carr strained this horse early. Then he put his head on his chest. He's in the grey with the blue V. And then he just sort of skirts around the outside of these horses under his own steam. And I'm not sure if it's much of a field that he beats, but holy heck, you don't see many horses put away fields like this, and especially at Cranbourne. He did this so easily, and he just reeled off some fast splits in the meantime for doing that. So no surprise it's 4 into 350 early. Pretty obvious horse to find. Barrier 11's a bit of a tricky one. Be interesting to see what the pattern of the day does, but this horse looks like one out of the box. It's rare that you see Clinton travel too many horses, but he was pretty bullish after the race. Once I sort of did some digging, and he said that it might be on the JJ Atkins path, or definitely coming to Queensland for the size and that sort of pattern. So the horse is here. Here we are. Jamie sticks, and I think this horse just looks like one out of the box. Rich Dotty is the horse that I mentioned on last week's show. Timmy's got the ride there, so I think he'll suit. I thought she showed a lot of character at the Heath that day to poke her head through. Not easy for young horses to do that. It's been 10 into 750. Zuna goes okay, but I think a bit of a class rise here. I know Nico doesn't love Bitter Creek as a horse, and then obviously President was scratched from the wet track also at the Sunshine Coast last week. So yeah, it's and then El Morzillo's always had a fair bit of ability as well. So it went down and ran in the Percy Sykes and acquitted itself pretty well. A massive run on, and another horse that I sort of black book. But some interesting form lines colliding here. But Angel Capital was the horse that jumped out of the ground for me, and I was quite taken by its win there at Cranbourne.
El Morzillo is just a weird one. So this is its 6th start, all in its first prep. It's been carved every start it's ever had. Probably should have absolutely walked in the Percy Sykes. Like, not. I don't think it's a question whether it should have won or not. It should have absolutely pissed in. And but they're sort of continuing on, and that was 1,200 wet, and it's up and back. It looks like a horse that you would love to see it sort of starting its prep here, heading to a JJ Atkins, not 6th run, and it's got a wide draw. It's got plenty against it. It's just one of these. You've just got to go back and watch its replays and see what this horse is capable of. Like, CJ won on it one day. She went back forward. The horse would have just didn't know what it was like. It would have been, when you're rolling down a hill and trying to put the car in neutral, then back, and this like just crunching its gears. It was hard to watch, and it still won. And it's a couple of it should have probably won the Inglis race in Sydney, the $1 million race, whatever. It's just a freakish horse that can do some crazy stuff. And if Craig Williams unlocks it, it might just blow their heads off. But it's it's a good race. I can see where you're coming from for sure. And El Morzillo, don't get me wrong, it's got a lot against it. But it's got an engine, unlike many horses I've ever seen. It's a weird horse. Interesting
to see what the pattern does. It's because both horses drawn 10-11, and then you got Little Barjas controlling with Rich Dotty. She'll be up in the firing line. Nico, thoughts?
Yeah, I did the race that Angel Capital won on debut, and it looked like a race with a lot of depth. Second and third have both run second since. DK's horse, which was held up for the majority of the straight. He was saying it should have won at Pakenham, so maybe it was a race with a bit of substance, and that might have been why he went around, $2.80, not $1.80 off the way he
That's
won.
what I'm thinking. It was the map, because where it's drawn, and there's others with talent in the race.
Like his last 200 on punting form relative to all 1,000-metre races, he's come home 7 lengths above on debut. And you don't see many horses do that at Cranbourne. Sit back last, round the field and win like he did. I saw Clinton on Twitter, I think it was one of the radio stations he was on, saying it could be the most exciting horse he's ever trained. So it's obviously got a fair engine.
Yeah, he's had Hayasugi run around. He had Stanley Express just come out and win
He's timed it all well with them, hasn't he? All these 2-year-olds, they haven't run into each other, and he said he'd hold this one back a bit longer because it's a big horse or something. And yeah, Stanley Express has just gone to the paddock, holding put it away now. So he's since he's gone to Cranbourne, full credit to him. I mean, I know he probably got his head in the game, being down there out of Melbourne and all that, but he's going good. 3
of the top 4 Mexicans. You don't see that very often in at the start of the Brisbane Carnival.
So it's been a bit of a trend.
What are you talking about?
Melbourne horse going super.
Oh, it'll be interesting.
Magic Time, that horse of Beggies.
I think it'll keep firming too. Your Jamie Carr, especially if you can run on.
It's going to go back though. It's got to go back and have to round
it
up.
It's got to go
They
right back.
won't be sending them forward before the grand final.
Great race, doing well. Good carnival. All right, the last one we're going to have a look at is race 8. It's the Doomben 10,000, time honoured, but now it's a 1,200-metre race to slot in with the rest of the program. I Wish I Win's the favourite here, $2.05. Espiona $5.50, in from $7.50. Private Eye $7. Bella Nipotina $7.50. Chain of Lightning $9.50. Marzu $12. Wee Nessie was brave last time $21. Steffi Magnetica $21. Then you got Body Bob up from Wagga for Paddy Murphy. That's it's an interesting one, and he'll be freewheeling out in front. The replay we're going to have a look at here is the last start of I Wish I Win in the TJ Smith Stakes, and also the bit of a car crash that happened with Espiona. You've obviously got Chain of Lightning winning the race. You got Bella Nipotina. It's an interesting form reference because a lot of these horses are pushing on from this obvious grand final, and I guess sprinters can sort of do that, spread out over monthly breaks, but. From a price perspective, 205 seems skinny. It can be a little bit rails in run. Historically, this Doomben meeting, I've found, I think the Doomben track, if they can run on, will suit like a horse like Espiona. They'll squeeze up to the turn, and I think she's got the electricity to sort of put these away up the Doomben straight. So no surprise, she's been $7.50 into $5.50. It sort of knocked the value out of the race for mine. And as I sort of touched on it earlier, I thought Body Bob and maybe Chain of Lightning might take it up, and then Bella Nipotina, they might try and use her early. Not sure where Blake Shin will go on Private Eye, and then it'll be a matter of whether I Wish I Win will see clear air and whether Espiona can sort of round them up. But interesting to see what J-Mac does. There's obviously been a lot of talk about him retaining the ride, and poor old Trumpy Nolan getting the bone, as Moody says. Walt, what's your
I just want to know where the premier weight for age horse in the country, Bustling, is. Why is it not in this race, being the only horse selected in the Everest Handicap or whatever the hell that race is, weight for age race? These horses are all beaten up.
Yeah.
Marzu, Chain of Lightning beaten up. Spellless Nepotina beaten up. Private Eye bashed. Espiona beaten up. So, and what is I Wish I Win? I just don't know the truth of this horse, what it is, but it's like, what is it in? Is it got carrying injuries? He mollycoddles the horse so heavily and gives it these big gaps and does weird things with it. But it's probably entitled to be that price. If everything goes its way, it'll probably win. But yeah, I'll tell you how sick this race is, that I actually thought Steffi Magnetica, when it was 50s or 60s or 100s or something yesterday, I could actually have a peanut on it, and because she can rattle off a strong last 600.
Yeah. Good.
And it's such a bad race. Well, not a bad race. It's just, I don't know. It's up for grabs. Is what it is. Yeah, it's just a weird race. I just thought it was a weird race is probably the best way. And at 50s or something, I could have dead set $50 on it to watch it and just cheer whoever home wins if it doesn't.
Nico, how does Steffi Magnetica get beat in a 3-year-old filly's benchmark 78 up the Flemington Straight?
It was a dark day that day. Anyway, I think it's a moral. I Wish I Win. I can't see how they beat it. If he gets a run, he'll win. recent jump out, there's question marks on how it's going. It absolutely
I was going to say, I spoke about its jump out leading into the TJ, where it just
it's like a different horse.
Looked like a humper
it actually
there.
jumped out well this time. And it still ran that well in the Irish, even though it got beaten half a length or something. And I was like, gee whiz,
But what
what's
does
he
that
done to it in
say?
trial?
What does that say with the horse? It's so weird.
He's a cuddler. Moody's a cuddler. He likes a cuddle. You like a cuddle. DK loves a cuddle.
Oh, he wasn't worried about that trial, Moody. I don't know. Now it's trialled out, jumped out good like it did. That was a lot sharper work there. So, as Walt said, though, what's the truth? Who knows? Moody, I don't know in his old age.
In gate one, it doesn't matter how good a horse is. Geez, it's hard, isn't it? Like a midfield back marker gate one, it's just so hard, especially like this race doesn't look like there's going to be many gaps. He's going to have to force a gap or come around him or do something. But, you know, I agree with, like, if he gets the runs, it'll probably look like the greatest price in the world. But I just think you'd still have your backside will pucker up at some point.
As it does every time you back a favourite from gate one.
Fair track. Yeah, free bet I'd probably take Espiona because one's sort of $5.50, $6 and the other's $2.05. They're probably both going to drift a little bit and people will nibble around the edges at, you know, the beaten up horses just looking for something to get them beat, I would have thought. But yeah, it'll be it'll be a cupboard job if you got chips in, which Nico sounds like he's going to do on I Wish I Win. But nevertheless, it looks like an exciting race to sink our teeth into. Make sure you check out the Racing Queensland website. It's a punter's best friend. Race replays, stewards vision, sectional data, and they've got stride length, so you can see how far they're stretching out. So that's something pretty unique and just can't find it in many places. So head to racingqueensland.com.au and make it your home for replays for the next 10 weeks. So super simple to use there and start digging around and getting into your form and get deeper. Donnie's best this week needs to bounce back. I'm confident he will. He took us on last week, and let's see what he's got down at Scone.
G'day, lads. Johnny's here with the best bet this weekend. We go to Scone, race 3, number 3, Lazuro. Debut at Kembla Grange in fast time. The second horse has come out and won since on Wednesday. It'll settle just off a hot tempo, and I think it's going to be the strongest slate. $4 looks a nice price. Good luck.
Looking fit, Donnie. Looking good. Scone race 3, number 3, Lazura. So it's T. Berry, Chris Waller, 380 into 330. It's a schnitzel.
Is he doing the Tim Nacky wind up there where he goes down the street and he's going to go and have 120,000 on red or black at the casino or something, Donnie? But I spent a bit of time in this race. It does look like Lazura missed the kick its first start, and that's probably the only little hesitation. It did have Jay Penza, so you would say it's a rider upgrade. Draw looks fine. Toke looks to get full control. That's the only worry, but it's got Reginald on from 1, so anything can happen there. It's a bit like the Instructor. It went straight to the front at Canterbury, obviously, which is a sympathetic leaders track, and looked really good first up. But she did look, she had big wraps on her before her first prep, so she is dangerous. She could get the front here, and again, the way the track's playing is going to be important. But I agree with Donnie Lazura, like everything basically that could go wrong, to a certain degree went wrong there. It did get a nice run through late, but still hit the line after doing, missing the start, over racing, doing a lot wrong, which is always a great sign for a first starter. And it does look the horse that will be strongest late in the race. So, I agree with Donnie.
Yeah, outstanding stuff. So bet with confidence and build your bank nice and early in the day. Scone race 3, number 3, Lazura, T. Berry to steer. TopSport Steamers, they need a lift. One bad week, so you're only as good as your last performance. Some say Doomben race 1, number 6 is the first bet. Rising Pacific, it is $5.25 at $4.80. This is a horse that was touted with a fair bit of ability for a very long time. It's up against Miracle Spring.
These are all our horses. Look at them.
Miracle Spin, Tenzing, Betcha the Crown, Eaglemont, Sunset Soiree. Yeah, they are. Almarak, Basara. I haven't gone into the race in any depth at all, and 61.5 kilos is probably enough to put me off. But I thought Eaglemont wasn't set up that great in the Archer, and I thought he overachieved up there. So if he's come back in one piece, perhaps entertained. But again,
Shin suits the horse too, yeah.
Suitable, but 61.5, and you've got this horse with Jamie, no weight, 55.5. I'm going to have to go deeper.
They're just no. Next.
Yeah, yucky. Race number 8, number 9 is Lionel, $500 at $7 here. So where there's smoke, there's fire. But Nico's already poo-pooed this one, saying that Think and Fly form is no good for a Ramsden.
Yeah, I just think he's a bit short. $7.
DK's bet this one. Race 8, number 6 is mostly cloudy. $600 at $11. This is a horse that DK was kicking up
Half
for.
the world's steaming into the Andrew Ramsden.
Yeah, weird, isn't it?
2,800 metre
Cattle
race.
racing.
Yeah, so it's got to,
They love it.
It's got to have a chance. It's got to be 6 or 7 chances in the race. Nico says there's 2. I thought it might be a bit, but it's a $500,000 race and few all set to run well.
Oh, what a beautiful game this is. Lots of different opinions, and that's what we want to do. We just all want to play and we all want to bet. DK, your provincial best this week, Almighty Jab, I think it was, 21 into $15, and of course it runs fourth.
And Moral beating the place, and it did everything jump beautifully. Had some Friedman thing must have been given the lead at all costs, so she handed up to it, and then it ended up stopping in front of her, which stopped her getting out in the straight, and then so it runs a nice fourth when you're on 1x3 and all this business, so it just never ends. But anyway, what can you do? That's out of your control. You can only, it's hard to find those things. You need those things to lob to have good result. What was it? 30s they started betting, and anyway, packing them tonight. Race 3. Geez, I'm finally tuning in. I missed the boat on the Price Kent Pakenhams, all this stuff, but last week was the final straw. I mean, MacDane should have been a moral on form. It beats all the racehorses by 5 lengths, and this 12 to 1 Mick Price thing, Luke Curry just comes off the fence and gives it wind boot. Margins of 2x6 or something like. So I'm tuning into Mick Price tonight. They've got a thing called Rezone it's in race 3, number 5, I think, Scoot. Geez, it was a good run on debut at Ballarat. Got stuck 3 wide the trip. Still had the temerity to hit the line. Only the Jester's Son sort of really went good. The Jester's Son savaged the line, ran the best last 200 of the day on punting form to win the race. It's $1.60 or $1.70 tonight in the 64 race. This was 3 wide the trip and still found the line. That's a sign of a handy horse. Gets a good rider upgrade to Jay Childs. Up in trip. I think Jay Childs won't make a round on it. I think he'll send it forward. Boga Legends, the other obvious one in the race, and I love Mitch Friedman, love backing his horses, but it kicked off at 1,700 at the Bull and was ridden to the pattern, and it all panned out really well. Like Lords didn't pan out that well. Jalen went back, Mitch walks the track, hugged the rail, sucked right through up behind the winner, Cotton Tree or whatever it's called, and couldn't get past it. They did clear out from the rest, but now it comes back to a mile. I thought 1,700 first up means you want 2,400 metre horse. So it comes back. And it's not a horse, I don't think, that goes forward. I think it's better sort of just travelling up. So I think Rezone, I'm not sure if it might be a rinse repeat of the Warrnambool race where it can't get past the Mick Price horse. So I think I'm tuning in at the end of the season after they've dominated. But Rezone, for me, Rezone.
$2.25 at TopSport. Are you gonna
$2.25?
It's been
$3 to $2.25
Well,
the tap too.
like Boga Legend come out, has it?
No,
it's
it's $3.10 into $2.25. But there's
It's
hold on.
firmed as well,
It was
DK.
$2.90. There was $2.90 this morning. It was $3 when I left home.
chocolate
It's like
Royale
last week.
Rose.
What's the?
Hey,
I did send the rundown sheet out to a few people.
mate, the 7 cent deduction winged has come out, and that's
Yeah,
it,
it
mate.
was already out. It was already out.
Was it?
might
Rezone
have
3
been,
to
might have been,
225
still.
and Boga Legends 240
Mate,
to
you didn't
230.
It didn't even put on the run sheet, so we couldn't have knocked it off. I had no idea what you're going to tip.
No, I'm not saying that was Walt said.
I'm only stirring.
Same as last week. I tipped Almighty Jab. It was 25s or 30s when I left home, and getting here and it's 14s. What's going on?
Mate, game's never been easy, mate. What are you talking about?
According to Luke Cray, what he just tweeted out, we just got to get better. Can't complain.
Just got to get better and smarter.
Yeah,
Righto.
it's never been easier, apparently, Scoot. Never been easier, the game. It should be
obvious.
dominating. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a pickle.
No. All right, we might end the show
Jeez,
on that note, but
we've made some friends today. That's
yeah,
the main thing. So, made some
just
friends.
no one dox me and give out my address, please, because I've got
Ooh.
young children in the house. So,
I don't even know your address.
hey,
I don't even know your
mate,
address.
you don't even know where the driveway is. You always park on the lawn.
That's all right.
Terrible stuff. But
all right.
I'd rather you park on the lawn than the driveway. In Queensland, they park across driveways.
I parked your
What's
missus
going
in
on?
one day, mate. I've never felt worse. It was terrible.
It's a weird place up here, Queensland. But as long as your car's not getting hurned, that's the main thing. But I'd say my confidence levels are probably an 8.5. I think Waltz is right up there, but he's got some majors with his Port Lockroy stuff. I love that Nico's tuning into Cranbourne and DK's Pakenham stuff. Sounds pretty good too. So bet with confidence this week. We've got better track setups, better weather conditions. So fingers crossed we all have a fill up this weekend. And make sure you check out TopSport and give them a go because they're doing good things for everyone that wants to turn over money. They got Bob, which is good, and RQ are helping them as well. So big thanks to our sponsors, and we'll see you next week for more.